Okay, so this is in chapter 4 still, okay? The list boxes you see here is just a list of items. And I showed you last time how we could actually add data to the list box, right? So now, how do you retrieve those data out so you can use them for whatever reason, okay? And then we have the radio buttons and then the checkboxes, okay? And this box around this group of checkboxes, the group of radios here is called the group, right? It's a group button or group control. You group them together. So not only make them look nicer, but especially in the radio buttons, you will group those together so that each of those buttons can only one of those buttons can be clicked. If you don't group them together, then all of them are clickable. Okay, and I mean they'll retain the state, and sometimes you don't want that. Okay, so let's go into Visual Studio, and I'm going to create a new project. Okay, so we create a new project. Let's call it, make sure you're on Visual Basic. Okay? So I'm always having an issue because he's using C++. I said, oh, that's the wrong program. So just make sure you have Visual Basic. And I will just use this one here. Maybe, what's the chapter 4 called? Let's go back. What does it say? Okay, input user selection, right? So I'll just say user selections. Just something like that, it's fine. Okay, so back to our basic form. Let's expand this and let's add some stuff to it. The first thing, the easiest one, bless you, is just the list box. Okay, so we'll do that first because we already know how to do that last time already. So drag it and put it into your form. We will have here a list of items, and this is another similar item in the book where it asks you to select the different ages or age range, and then you will apply a certain fee to some type of club, like a gym club or something. So let's just say this list box here, I'm going to call it the LST, just put age. Okay, it's a list box of ages, age range, or whatever you want to call it, it's fine. And then the values in here will be, we'll add some stuff in here. Again, in the items property, you can click there and then click the ellipsis to add items, or right click on the arrow here and then choose items. So the first one we can have things like child. And this would be like just a child. So I have a child rate if you want to join a gym club. The next is the minor, under 18, right? And then we have the adult, and then we have the senior rate, for example. So we have 4 different rates for a gym club. Okay, so you see that there. And I'm going to change the font size, make it a little bit bigger. Let's go to font and the size. I usually put 20 so it's big enough for us to see. So those 4 clubs there. Okay. And then I'm going to add a button right here, to submit this form. Maybe down here. Let's see. Yeah, we'll put it right here. And we can make it kind of big so we can click it easily. The font size will be put also 20. The text will just say, submit. It's okay. Or calculate or fee, whatever. The name of that would be just btn submit. So that's a button. If you want to, make it beautiful, that's fine. It's up to you. I'll just leave it as is. Okay, so right down here at the bottom, let's add a label right here. And this label here it's just I'll call this is the label LBL, maybe the fee is. So the text for that label would be just you know, club or fee, right? Club fee. And also change the font size. I want to change it to maybe just 15 this time. So club fee goes right here, and this label is just used to indicate what that field or what that text or what that object is going to be in terms of giving some type of a clue to the user. Okay, so right after that, I'm going to add a text box, and this text box will store the fee. So when we click submit, it's going to calculate or basically put the fee here based on the selection up here, right? So let's make this also size, I'll make this size 20 as well, a bit bigger than the other one, and the name will be just txt fee, and you can make it not you know, modifiable or clickable. So in the enable, just double click it and make it false, okay, or select the false. So now you cannot click that button. Okay. So I think that's it, right? So that means when I click a child, then there should be a fee associated with a child, and then a minor we have a different fee, adult different fee, senior will be different fee, and then we'll show this fee down there on the bottom. It's a really simple application. So notice that the list box, I added the you know, text manually, right? So this is called initialization. Okay, you initialize your text list box. If you don't do that, if you leave it empty, you can do that in the code as well. You can add those code to that box using code view. I mean, using the code, right? Listbox dot items dot add, and then you add that child there, add a minor, and so on. Okay. Okay, so to submit this, we're only interested in the submit button. So for example, if you run this and I click on the child, I click submit, it should put the fee here with the child if you're a child. If it's adult, then the fee will go here after I click submit. Okay? Very simple like that. All right. So now I'm going to double click the submit button here. Double click to get into the code. And then in this code, I'm going to turn off my properties so we can have more lines, more space here. So this is where the events occur. All the things happen in this line, in this block of code here. So I need to check the list box. So the first thing is you're going to read from what's selected in the list box. Okay, to get that, then you have two options. One is list box here contains 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of data, right? And list box is like an array. And so the first item there has an index number of 0. Okay, so 0 is a zero-based language. So if you want to select the index 0, that applies to the child. Then you can use that. So you can say if the index is 0, then it's a child rate. If it's the index is going to be 1, 2, or 3 for senior, then that would be a senior rate. Okay. So to get the index numbers, just to kind of show you what that is. So in here, I would say I would dim another variable name called maybe just, let's see, we'll call it child fee, okay, as integer. Oh, maybe double, right? Let's just say that child will have no cost, just 0. And we'll have the minor fee as double. It's going to be, let's just say $5. Okay, oops, equal $5. And then we have adult fee as $10, and then the senior You can call it fee, you call it rate, if that makes more sense. As double is, let's just say, I don't know, $7. Okay, so I set up those different rates, so I know where to what to use, what to call when I make a selection. If I select a child, then you get the child fee and so on. So, and then I have a so you have the overall fee. So you can say dim fee. Let's say what club fee, whatever, as double, and you leave that blank. But you can set it to 0 as a default, which is fine, right? So somewhere down here, it's going to output the fee to the fee txt fee here, right? That's going to go out there. And to output that there, how do you do it? I want to output the club fee to that text box. How do you do it? Does anybody remember? So we're going to reference this box here. So outputting means going from the form of the code to the form. So you basically just do an assignment. Okay? So it's a txt fee. That's the one that we call, right? Dot text. It's going to be equal to assigned with the value from the club fee. So whatever that fee is. If it's 0, it'll be 0. Okay. So for example, if I save it now and run it, that's you see that if I don't select anything here, if I click submit, you'll get 0, right? Because the default value for the club fee is 0. And since this is a dollar value, let's cancel this and we'll change that to a toString. We'll format it with the C for the currency. Okay, so it's now a dollar value to the 2 decimal place by default. You can put 2 here if you want. If you don't, it's going to be 2 anyway. Okay, so now it's a dollar sign, so it'll be $0. Okay. Then now if you want to click on minor, I click submit. That should show me the fee of $5. Okay. Right. Okay, so I got my settings here. These are just the fees, right? You can comment this, so you can say club fees for age range, right? And then now I'm going to read the input. Read input from the list box. Okay. To get the input of that list box, is you would go and then grab. You would say. You can just to make sure you get the input type. So you can dim a variable called maybe age, not age, but you can call it index, is fine. Okay, index as integer.
Christian,
yes.
What did you what did you use for the selector? The list box, is that what you used?
Yeah, list box, yes. Yeah, and I just call it LSTH.
LSTH?
Okay, so I declared index. This index is going to store either a 0 for the child, 1 for the minor, 2 for adult, or 3 for senior. Okay, when you select this, when you run this, and I make a selection, we'll have an error because my code. It's gonna tell me which items I selected. Right, Raphael? Okay, so to read the index number, then you want to grab the list h dot, okay, it's called selected index right here. Okay, so the selected index, it will be either 0, 1, 2, or 3 because you only have 4 items, right, including 0. It is the first item, but the first item is always index 0. Okay, so the index is going to be one of those, and in this example you can only click 1. There are other options that you can make it so that you can click multiple index as well. You can turn that on. But for now, we just allow it to click only one. So I got the index. Then now I want to check the index against these. So this one here is index of 0, right? Make 0. This is index 1. Just to show you that index 2, we can match these. Index 3. They store those index positions in the form. So you can just check now. So if the index is equal to 0, right, then the rate is going to be the child fee. So the club fee is the child fee. If it's 0, right? And then what about the other ones? And you can do the else if the index is 1, then the club fee, oops, I mistyped here. Then the club fee will be the minor fee. You can continue to keep them down until you satisfy all the conditions. If the index is 2, then club fee is adult fee. Else, if the index is 3, then the club fee is, I keep saying club, is senior fee. If it's not the else part, then it's going to be 0, right? It's already default 0. You can do that here. You can say else. If nothing is selected, if it's none of the above, then club fee will be just 0. You can force that to say that again, which is fine, but you don't have to because it's already 0 here. Okay? But you can always do that just to be safe. So here's my condition. If one of these is selected, then I'll supply set the correct fee for those for the club fee, and then I'll put the club fee to the text box. Okay? So any questions? So now if I run this now, it should work, right? So here I have, if I click on minor, that's the index of 1. That should be the minor fee, which is $5. Okay. If I click on the senior, that should be $7. Adult is 10 and child is $0. Okay. So that's how you read the index from the list box. So you have to know what's inside this list box. If you don't know, then that's something else. You have to find a different way out to determine what that is. Okay. So just to play with this a little bit more, how would you convert this if blocks into a select case statements? Right? You can also use the select case to do that as well. So let's just say I'm going to comment these out. Click the comment here. And let's use the select case in this example. And we'll do right below here. So you can translate each of these into the select case. So select case, right? And then the condition is we're checking for the index, right? We check for the index. If the index is 0, that's the first case. Case it is 0. If that's the case, then we want to say the club fee is child fee, right? That's pretty much it, right? We'll put a colon here. I don't remember. No. Okay. And then if it's a second case, it would be 1. If case is 1, then the club fee is the minor fee. So copy and paste here. And you do the same for the other one. Case 2, the club fee is the adult fee. And then cases 3, the club fee is senior fee. And then the else part is just say else. Case else. We'll put that for you. The club fee would be 0. Okay, so if you look at this, this is very similar to the if block, as you can see. The same number of line of code looks like. So there's really no advantage or disadvantage in this situation. Either one is fine. And if you save it now and run it, it should still work just like before. Okay, minor is $5, adult is 10, and then senior is 7, child is $0. Okay, so either case will be fine in this example. Any questions? Okay. I'm going to do one thing just to modify my form here. I want to put it so that its start position will be on the center. Sorry. As always, I have to keep dragging to the center. I don't like that. So. All right. So now, let's just say I'm going to comment all these out again. Okay. So we know how to select the index numbers this way, right? So the next thing I want to show you is that what if the index doesn't tell you much? What if you want to match the actual value here, like child, minor, adult, senior? You can match those texts out also. Okay? So you can say if the selection is adult, then use the other fee and so on, right? So you can say here, I can dim, here will be like, what do you call this one here? Bless you. What do you call this one here? What would be a good variable name to store this data? Child, minor, adult, senior. I guess we could say member class or something, okay? As string. Okay, so member class will store the string, so that means either it's going to be you know, minor, right, adult, senior, or a child. Okay, it's going to store those texts. So you can say member class is equal to the ListBox, LSTH dot. Okay, now to get the actual data from the actual text value, like the word child or minor or adult here, is you just do exactly as you would do with the text fields. Dot text. Okay. So the list box with the dot text will give you the actual value of the currently selected item. Okay, so if you run and if your mouse points to, if you don't click it, there's nothing, so it's blank. Okay, so you want to make sure that it has something. If I click adult, then that is the selected item, and then if you submit, then it will actually grab the value of that. It's going to say the word adult. The text field, or whatever it is you put in here. If you put numbers, there will be a number. If you put a sentence, it will get the entire sentence there. Okay, so you can compare the index value, or you can also compare the actual value of this list box. So I'm showing you two options here. So we did the index. So this one, I'll say now I want to compare the member class. So it's say if member class is equal to the child, right? That string there. If it matches the child string, Then the club fee will be just, again, same thing, right? Child. And you can see where this goes. Member class equals adult. Then club fee is adult fee. Actually, no. Else if, right? Forgot to put it else if here. I don't want a nested code there. Else if. And then let's close that. So else if member fee is minor. You also want to make sure it's case sensitive in this case. Okay, the actual values are case sensitive. If you put a lowercase here, then it may not work. So you have to match the case. If that's the case, then you want to set it all lowercase or uppercase. If that's the case, if it's minor, then the club fee will be the minor fee. Else if the member class is senior, then the member fee would be just senior fee. Right? And then finally, else the club fee will be just 0. So same as before, right? The same structure, except now we're comparing the actual text of that field instead of the index numbers. So if you know the actual value in there, if that is more meaningful to you, then you will use the actual text. Otherwise, you will go with the index number. Okay, so just make sure that the list age or whatever the list box is dot text will give you the current value of the currently selected item on that list. And if you want to use the list age dot selected index, then that's what it means. That the selected index, whatever that position is, as starting from 0. Okay, so you can compare either way. Okay, so if you run it now, it should still work just like before. If I click minor, I get the minor fee, which is $5. Senior is 7, adult is 10, and so forth. Okay. And let's just say accidentally if I put a capital D for the child. Let's see if that still works. Okay. Let's see if that still works. So this works. The child fee. Well, that I can't tell because it'll be default to down here. So let's just put the adult. I put a D for the adult. I put capital D there. And then if I click adult, right? Notice I get a 0, right? Because you don't match the case here. It is a lower D and then with the upper D, so they don't match. Okay. So it's because you're actually comparing the ASCII code instead of the actual character. Okay, so that's important. And the same thing, if you want to convert this to the select case statements, then it will be very similar. So here, instead of the index, will be select the case of the member class as a string, right? So the first case would be child, and then minor, adult, and then senior, and then the else. Okay, same structure. It's just a different data type. Okay, are we good with this part? All right, so the next thing we want to learn is the radio buttons. Okay, so the radio buttons are up here, right here, the radio button, right here. Now, if you look at this form here, if I drag it, let's say put it right here, and let me turn on my properties back. Where is it? The property, where are you? Oh, it is the view. Down here. So give this radio button a name. We can do the same thing. This will be the child. So the name will be just rad for radio, and we can put child. right? That's the name of this object. Everyone has a name. Then the text for that will be right down here in the text field property. But we'll call this one here child. And we could also do a little bit more with this, right? You can just say child if it's the age, if you are less than, let's just say 6 years old. Okay, so we say that that's a child. And then if I let me just make it a little bit bigger on the font size. I'll make this like 14 or something. It's easier to see. So here's a child, and then I will do 3 more. So control and then drag, child, adult, minor, and then senior. Okay, so just go into the second one and then change that name or the text to say minor and so on. So the radio button for that one will be RAD minor, and the text would say not child, but I would say minor, and this is be between age 6 through 17, for example. If you're between the age range, then you're a minor. We'll do one, well, this is the adult, so adult would be between 18 and let's just say 64. Although 60 could be senior already, but we'll just say 64. And this button will be called rad adult. The last one is just the rad senior. And the text would say senior. And we'll just put like a 65 plus. Okay, so we have 4 different ones. Now, by default, if you put radio buttons here, then they belong to a group. Okay, usually your buttons belong to a group. In this case, it belongs to the form group, which is the parent group here. So by default. What that means is that if you run this application and if you click one of these, right, you see that only one of those can be checked at any given time, right? They belong to the form group. What if you have a different set of buttons and you call those maybe like cost or color type or something like that, right? On the same form. So if you put that over here on the right side, they will still belong to the same group, and so therefore all of those will still be only be selected at one time. So that's why it's important to group them into its own unique group, and so on. So for example, if I add, if I copy these 2 here, just those 2, and then I drag it over here, and I have a completely different group here. They don't belong to the age group here, but just say I want to call this one here instead of text, just say so for example, I put male and a female, right? If you do that, then they're completely separate group. If you are a child, minor, also your gender, what it is here, for example. But when you run this, you see that it doesn't work. If I click male, I'm a minor, so it doesn't let you select those, right? So when that's the case, then you don't want, because all these buttons belong to the form group. It's a big group. You want to separate those out. That's where this group comes into play. So if you look in the containers area in your toolbox, you see one that says group box. Okay, so if you drag that and put it in here somewhere. Okay, notice if you put over here, if you drag it using the 4 arrows here, you drag it, you move it around, it hides the other one because it's on top of the other ones. Okay, so you can play with this. So drag a little bit here, and now this is the group box. Let's just say this one here, I want to group the age group here together inside the box here. So you expand this a little bit, make it big, as big as you want. Okay. And then now I can drag all of these 4 radio buttons and drop it into the group. Okay, you drag it inside. It's kind of hard to see, so let's click the group box and let's change something here. So this group box here is called group box 1, and I just call this a group GRP for group, and this is the age. So group age range or whatever it is, give it a unique name. Just like any other object, has its own unique name. I probably want to change the let's just change the color, the background color, to something else so we can see a little bit better. I want to change it to like a little bit the bluish color here. Okay, and then if you scroll down to the text area, it says group box 1 here as a text. You can change that. You can say here age range or something, right? And the font size, you can change the font size as well. Make it big. Just say 14. So here we have it. And then now, these 4 radio buttons, you can still select them inside here, the group. You just have to be a little bit careful because sometimes you grab the group box here and then you can have if you try to edit it, it will not work. But just kind of like if you want to highlight, select all of them, you can still click inside. Oops, sorry. It's a double click. You don't want that. You can still highlight it in here and then select this 4, and then you can still move around inside or drag them out again outside the group box, but they belong in here, right? So now if I click on the group box here and I drag the arrow, I move everything along way together as a group. Okay, so you can move them all together and put it back up here, and then I'll move the other group here outside over here. So let me move this a little bit down here, and here's my group, H group here. Let me just do a little bit more. Okay, so here's my H group. So now, since they're in a group here, if you run this now, you see that they are now only applied to that group, and I can still select the male and female. Okay, you separate those into separate groups. But again, here it doesn't belong to any group. It belongs to the form group, which is everything outside of the blue box here. Everything in the gray area here belongs to this. They belong to that group. So you do this by the same token. You can copy this group here. Just Control C and then Control P. Paste it. You get everything with it, and just go and delete these groups in here, right? And then put the male and female group inside here. And then just modify this, resize this to whatever you want to, how you want to resize it. Okay, move them around until you like it, and then put it up here somewhere. You change this group box just like you did the other one. The text would say not age range but a gender. Okay, and then the name would be just GRP gender, for example. And you can give it a different background if you want. We'll call this, maybe you give it a gray. Well, not gray, it's not so fun. Give it like a little bit yellow button here. And here we have a different group. Okay, so now they belong to a different group called the gender group. Okay? So that's what the group box is used for, to group your controls together. And also you can give more meaning to what this group is. You can give it a little some text there. Alright, so now the next part is if I select the child or the minor or the adult or the senior, then like I did here, I'll apply the certain fee to that, right? Okay. Alright, so if you click on this radio button here, any one of them, you see that there is a property called checked. Okay, you can check the state of that property. If it's checked is true, then that means the button has been checked. So for example, if I put it true, you see that it's been selected. Okay, if that is the default case, if you want to start your application with that checkbox to be default, to be the default state, then you can set that to be checked. Right? Otherwise, set it to false. Okay? And then you can check the state. If the child box or the red child is checked, then apply the child fee. Else, if it's a minor check box has been checked, then apply the minor fee. Right? So let's do that. Back to the code. I'm gonna comment all these out for the text here. So all these should be commented out. So right here on the bottom, down here somewhere, we're gonna keep building here. So I'm gonna check for the radio button called red child. And you can just do directly right in here in the code block. So you can say if the red child radio button dot checked, right? We say if it's checked. If that is true, you can set the true here. Then we just apply the text fee to be child fee. Very simple like that. Okay? If that is checked, then that's the child fee. If it's not checked, then there's no fee. Or if it is not, then we'll check for the next box. Because since only one of those can be checked at any given time, we don't want to do this. We don't want to say, you don't want to separate each block. Red child, red minor dot checked. Then text fee dot text is the minor fee. Okay, we don't want to do that. Why? In this case, is probably it'll work, but remember, if you do this, if you have a separate if block here in the if block, this is an independent block. This is an independent block by itself. So that means that it will check every condition, right? It will check. Okay, is it checked? Yes, it's checked already. Fine. Well, what about the minor? Is it checked? No, it's not checked. So it's gonna run through every line of code there. And sometimes you might override your previous condition and you might get a different result. So if you only want to check that, make sure only one button is checked, then that's why it's important to combine this with the else block. Is else if. Okay? So only one of those buttons can be checked at any time. Because only one of those can be true. You put to a group, right? So only one can be checked. And then you do the same for the other one. Else if the red adult is checked. So also notice that I put the word true in there. I don't have to. I could just do this. It's fine too. Okay. This one here, it means that it's you set it, you force it to be true. This is the same as saying this. Exactly same. So you see that sometimes as somewhat advanced code, you only see the true or false. Okay, if it's checked, then we'll assume that it's true. That's why we omit that equal true here. Okay, so you could just do that, and then text fee will be the adult fee, and then else if the red for senior is checked, and the text fee will be for the senior. Senior fee. And also you want to put the else, just say that text fee is 0. Right, you can do that. Notice I use the text directly. If I do that, then I don't need this anymore, right? I shouldn't have done that, but you should have used it. Well, yeah, let's change it. I don't like this. Okay, it should be the club fee. I'm sorry. So this text here, this copy and paste will change it to all the club fee, because you want to be a little bit consistent here. So the club fee will be that, and since we already output down here at the bottom, okay, so it's more efficient this way. So this is how you check the state of a radio button. And the reason why you need the else part here, you're saying, what? But at any given time, one of those is going to be checked anyway. Why do you need the else part, right? And that's because if you, when you run this application, you see that initially none of them is checked. Okay? If you don't say the else part, then you're expecting all these to be checked, but hey, none of them are checked. That's where the else comes in. Just in case they don't forget to check it, then you click submit and then you get a 0. But typically when you write an application, if it's not checked and you click the submit button, you can check it. If not, all those are checked, you put a message saying, hey, this is required. Check one before you actually do the coding in the process. But for now, we'll say that. So in this case, if it's 0, they will put a message here saying, you need to check one of those boxes, right? Instead of 0, you say, it's required. But for now, if I don't check it, then the clock will be 0 because we set it to 0. Okay, these don't work, right, because we turn those off. We just do this part right now. Okay, so when I click the child, I should get a 0 for the child, same thing. If I click on the minor, I get $5. Adult, 10, and senior is 7, and so on. Okay? So you can check the state by using the dot checked to see if it's checked. And the same thing over here. If I want to check these, I can say if the red male dot check is true, it's male. If it's or else it's be female, and so on. Okay, I'm not going to do that, but you can do that here. So what happens if you say red child dot text? What do you think is going to happen? So here, for example, if I put instead of club fee, if I put like red child dot text, okay, so there's no fee there, just put red text. Doesn't matter what I checked or not. You see that I got this text, right? So I can read the text here for each of those radio buttons, just like I did with the ListBox. Okay, if you want to read the actual text assigned to each of those radio buttons, then the dot text will give you that. Okay, why do you need that? Well, maybe like over here, right? You can check the gender. You can say if dot a red gender or red male, or whatever this is, option 1, option 2, or whatever this value is. This could be a text, or it could be some numbers, right? You can text maybe like some price range, the actual price. Instead of child, put a price number here. You can read the child, the price number, and then use that for some type of calculation, like we did in the minor and the adult text field here. Okay, so that's the same as the other the text box. So we do one more. One more here will be, I'm gonna put like right over here is the checkbox. Okay, so the checkbox, they work differently than the radio buttons, because checkbox, they're independent, right? So they don't really need a group. So if I, for example, if I add it here or I put it in here, it doesn't matter where I put them, right? Oops. If I put that in here, okay, you'll see that if you run them, they're all over the place, but this can be checked independently, then I can check these independently, uncheck them, right? So they are not same as radio buttons. Radio buttons only one option, or these are called option buttons as well. That's only you have one can be checked. But check boxes, you can check them all or check only some. Okay, that's the difference. So therefore, you don't need to put into a group. You can put into a group so that you can easily see them, and so on. So here I could say, let me delete this one here. Let's put on the right side. I need more space. Question?
So if you didn't put them in group boxes,
Mhm.
you wouldn't be able to click on male and female?
Are these two right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. You can, but what if, like, if you take this out, right? Let's say put out here. Okay.
Yeah.
And then if you put, I showed you earlier, right? If you happen to put this group outside here,
That's what I was asking. If
Yeah.
there were no group boxes, you wouldn't be able to like click on male and female.
yeah, you can. You can still click on them. Okay, they should still work. Okay.
Even if all of them like no group boxes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can click on any of them.
I think he means if you actually deleted that the age range group and the gender group, you guys could still work.
Yeah, you can. You can still click them. This is just you group them together. If you take this out completely and there's no group box, yes, it's still fully functional. But you have issue of isolation because you cannot have, you cannot select only these from these and they all group into one big group, which is the form group, which you cannot omit. Okay. So that's why you want to, put them into their own group so that they are independent of this group here. Okay, because now I can say if the minor is checked and if the gender is male, then you get a different rate. If it's a female, then you get a different rate. Okay. If you have a third group here for I don't know whatever that is, maybe a different type of membership thing that you can put that there as well, so you can have multiple groups. Okay. Okay, so the checkbox it works very similar to. I mean, you can check the checked state as well. Okay, so I can go here and then we call this CHK for checkbox. We'll call this what? What do you want to call this? Maybe we'll call like the membership. I don't know. Any idea what should we call this related to gym? Or is it called a club? I guess we'll just call it like a drink, some type of drink is fine. We'll call this one here Pepsi, okay? And I'll say I want to select Pepsi for my drink, and then we can make it. Let's change the font to 14. So it's a Pepsi. And then I can do another one here for Coke, and so on. So say you have 4 of them, right? Probably just 3 is too many. So the option here will be, the second will be CHK Coke. This would be Coke. The third is, I guess we'll call it lemonade. No, we don't want lemonade. No lemonade. No, it's pretty healthy actually. It's too long to type. Sorry, I got lazy here. Okay. So CHK Sprite. Well, Sprite is kind of close to lemonade, right? It's citric. So. Ha. Okay, so again, this don't have to be in a group, but usually if you do design your code, then you want to put to a group. It looks nicer. So I'm going to copy this, paste it here, and delete these 2 objects here, and then drag the 3 drinks and put it in here. And so now I can drag this group around, and here I can change that group to say drinks. Okay. And the group name, again, you want to call it, if you want, just group drinks for the name. And you can change a different color if you want. Just call this a little bit, not a lot of option there. I'll call it peach color. There you go. So here we have our drinks. So you can check the state as well. If you notice here, if you click on Pepsi, it's a check state. Uncheck or the check, right? Checked is false. If checked is true or false, and the same thing. So you can say, so for now I'm gonna just do the drinks here. It will put a different fee down here. So let's go into code and let's comment these out. And now we'll do with the checkboxes. So checkboxes, they're independent of each other. So you can check it so that the total fee will be different, right? So you want to say maybe we'll dim like 3 variable names. So dim one for Pepsi, one for Coke, and one for Sprite. As this all like double, and we'll okay. So we'll assign the Pepsi, so you can check the Pepsi. So you can say if the checkbox for Pepsi, if it's checked, if that is true, then we want to say Pepsi is what? I don't know, $1.50. Okay. So because they're independent, you don't want to say the else if, because sometimes because one could be checked, one could be not checked, right? So you can check the second piece if CHK for the Coke is checked. Okay, then the Coke price is set to, say, $2. Okay, and you can also check the Sprite, CHK Sprite. And Sprite fee is expensive, $3 here. Okay, and then down here you could, or up here it doesn't matter. You can also maybe set another variable here. Well, here's fine. So here you can say the club fee, just for this calculation, is going to be Pepsi plus Coke plus Sprite, right? So if it all is checked, then it's going to be $6.50. If it's only 2 of them are checked, then whatever those are, you get the total of those 2. When we do this way here, initially this all be set to 0 by default. Okay, I don't specify the 0 here, but they'll all be 0. Okay, so let's run this, and let's just say I click on Pepsi only, then there should be only $1.50 down here. Okay, so you get $1.50 for Pepsi. Now if I check Coke, just make sure each of them work. $2 for Coke, and Sprite is $3. So if we pick Sprite and Coke, that's $5. 2 plus 5, you get $5. Pick them all is $6.50. Okay, so you get all these different combinations because you can check multiple of them. So that's what the checkboxes are used for. And if you want to do some certain type, of say, if you select all of them, then you get a discount, right? If that's the case, then you want to say if Pepsi is checked and if Coke checked and Sprite checked, then you get a discount, right? Otherwise, you don't. Or maybe you get like a 20%. If you check only any of the 2 combinations, then you get 10%. You're gonna have to check if Pepsi and Coke, and then you get it, or if Pepsi and Sprite, or if Sprite and Coke. So you have all these combinations, right? So you have about maybe 8 different combinations to deal with, to check those. So it's a little bit different from the radio box. So basically just one option, you're done. You can also say if it's a minor and if it's a male, then if you choose Coke, you get 10%. So you can see there the combination there can get really quite complex there. Okay. Okay, we'll do one more, and then we'll take a break. Any questions on the radio buttons or the checkbox or the bless you?
Or do you want to combine the drinks with age range?
Yeah, the drinks with the age, right? So how would you do that? Well, let's do that example. Thank you. Bless you. So here, the age. Let's just say we. So we want to make sure that. So you could do like. Let's do this. We'll leave those there, and we'll comment these out. Let's say we'll do the age range with the drinks. So you add the age range with the drink that you selected, right? So actually, we'll leave this on. You can leave this on. Let me undo that. Leave this on. And up here, so I'll just turn this back on, the radio button. Okay, so club fee is that. And then here will be, the club fee here would be just everything here, the new fee, right? Plus the club fee up here, because we did this first, whatever the fee is for that age range. And then we did a separate calculation for the drinks. You get different numbers for that. And so the total club fee would be just club fee again, plus the club fee previously, plus all of these, right? I just group them here so we can see easily, but you don't have to. So the total fee will be that. Okay, so we did that already. So if I run it now, you see that if it's a child and you drink only Pepsi, then there's no fee for child, so it will still be only $1.50, right? If I put the adult and drinks Pepsi, then that's $10 plus $1.50, so you get $11.50. Okay, and if you're adult, you drink all three, then you get about $16.50. Okay.
What if they want 2 Cokes?
Man, you're getting tough here. Then that'll be a different option, right? Now you add another column here for quantity. Okay, so you add a quantity over here on each of these fields. You add a quantity, and then you multiply
Children are coming here by themselves.
it. Right? Yeah. So I mean, it does get fun. So what that means is that like here, you would add like another. What would you need? Text box, right here, and then you can say here the quantity, Pepsi txt Pepsi quantity, txt Coke quantity, and whatever number you put here, you just multiply that by the fee here. Okay, but we're not gonna do that. So but it's a good example. Maybe I'll let you do it and you let us know. Now the last one I want to show here, notice that when I click the submit button, right, if I click the minor, then it shows that for me. If I click senior, it shows that when I click the submit button. What if you just want to show so that when you click on minor, it shows the price right away? So again, I mean, without clicking on the submit button here, okay? You can do that as well. What if I select minor and then when I select it, it shows the price right away without going to the submit button here? Okay. So you can do that very easily in here. By doing that, you have to supply each of these with its own subroutine or each event. So let's just say in the minor, or maybe over here. Yeah, minor is fine. So minor, when I check this box, that means I double click it. Okay, so I gave my own private subroutine down here. that all I'm doing is that if I click on the minor button, then the text fee is going to be $5. Okay. You do the same for each of them. So if we go for the child, then the text fee for the child is 0. So each have their own event. And the adult fee is 10, and then the senior text fee for that would be $7. Okay, so if you look at this, you have like 4 of them, one for each of those. So when you do that, then now I don't need to submit anymore. If I click on the child, see that the $1 there, and the minor is $5. I didn't do the formatting, but you could. And then the adult will be just 10, and the senior is 5. So this way, you don't need to do the submit. Okay. You can do the same with the text box here. Same thing with the Pepsi. If I click on it, it will show $1.50. If I click this one here, it will add together and show the total here. When I click on the button, without doing the submit at all, you can do that as well. Okay, so sometimes that is also useful because it tells the user right away what that fee is. So if you have a club fee or you have a form application to allow users to select certain items, and they want to see that total right away without submitting. If they say, oh, you know, that's too much for me, I want to drop this one here. Okay, that's cheaper. If I add this to that and that, you get total, like a shopping cart, right? You see the live number right away. Okay, that's good. I like it. Go ahead, purchase it, right? So if you don't do that, you click purchase, and then it will reload and show the new number. So that's not really efficient, right? Okay. Okay, so let's take a break, and then we'll continue on with either this topic or the next topic. Okay, so I'll see you in 10.